Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Inspiration Today for this Thursday. And we're just about there. We're now almost down to the number one most used word in all the Bible. But not today. Today we are at number 2. And I hope you've enjoyed this series. I know that I certainly have. Let me remind you that the top 5 words. Israel, number 5. Son, S-O-N, number 4. King, number 3, and that's what we talked about yesterday. Have you got an idea what today's word might be? Let me give you the verse for the day and what we're talking about, and I'll just tell you that the word is in this verse, and it's Deuteronomy 6, verse 4. The Lord our God is one. The Lord our God is one. I want us to memorize that. It's easy, isn't it? That's a prayer that the Jews speak to this very day. It's called the Shema. And morning and evening, they pray the Shema. The Lord our God is one. And it goes on, of course, from there. The word, number 2 most used in all the Bible, it's God. It's God. I just wonder, if before I went into this study, I think I would have said that would be number 1, that the Bible's about God. It's not the most used noun in the Bible. We'll get to that tomorrow. But here's what I want us to get. This is such an interesting word, the English word God. And as you know, it's used in a lot of ways. It's used with a small g, too, and especially in the God. Everyone speaks of their God. Well, their God is not the God. Now, how does the Bible differentiate? The Hebrew word, and this is so fascinating to me, and we're going to dig into this a little bit today. The word is Elohim. So in Genesis 1:1, which is a verse I'm sure you all know, in the beginning, God. Actually, it says in Hebrew, of course, in the beginning, Elohim, God created the heavens and the earth. The word there, Elohim, is the word throughout all the Old Testament. 2,678 times it appears, and it's that word. Now, why is that word so interesting? And we lose it in English. In Hebrew, I am, equates to, in English, what we do with the letter S. It makes the word plural. The literal would have been the gods, but it was never, ever thought that way. It was never translated that way. The Jews never thought of it that way. Why? Because they learned from the very beginning, Deuteronomy 6:4, the Lord our God is one. There is only one God. And the Bible refers to him as Elohim in plural. Why? I'm not clear on how the Jews, the Hebrew people, understood that all these years, but we can understand it because we now know, because Jesus came and explained it way more, and we have the New Testament. We now know that God, Elohim, is made up of 3 persons: Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The 3 are one. So we now know. Isn't that interesting that there were clues this way from the very, very beginning? And I often wonder what Moses must have thought as he wrote these things down. Later in Genesis, I think it's chapter 1, end of chapter 1, God says to himself, let us make man in our own image. Well, who is he talking to? What? That made no sense. The angels were not a part of creation. There is only one God, so who was he talking to? It was the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit talking amongst themselves. They were one, but they had separate personalities. I don't understand that. You don't understand that. We have certain parallels that people have used to try to help us understand the Trinity, but the reality is we have small, finite minds, and God is infinite. It should not be surprising that we can't understand everything about God. If we could, how much of an amazing being would he actually be? No, it doesn't surprise me that I don't understand all of that. But I do know that that word God is obviously used. Did I give the number of times? 3,995 times. Way more than number 3. Way more. That's amazing. Almost 4,000 times the word God exists. Now the New Testament, it switches to the word theos because it was Greek, and it did mean God. In the New Testament, it's very, very clear that Jesus is God. He says over and over, in John chapter 10, verse 30, Jesus speaking, and he says, the Father and I, you know the verse, are one. Are one. How's that? Because they're one God. It's so exciting that God would reveal himself in this way. I just so appreciate the Lord for doing this so that we can get a glimpse at who he is. He says, God the Father and I are one. But not all were convinced. And so even after God, Jesus, had done all these things, he'd done miracles, he'd raised people from the dead, he fed 5,000, he walked on water. You can't walk on water. I can't. He even allowed Peter, get out of that boat, Peter, and let's walk together on the water. These are amazing things. Now, do you remember Thomas? Thomas was, well, his nickname became the Doubting Thomas. And he was there when Jesus did those things. How was he not totally convinced that Jesus was God? I don't know. Although human beings, we doubt at times, don't we? Even after we've seen God answer amazing prayers, we doubt. But I love the story and the way that the Bible makes it clear that Thomas did not stay a doubter. And so after Jesus is raised from the dead and Thomas hadn't seen it, he said, I'm not going to believe unless I see him myself. God is so gracious. And so Jesus does appear to Thomas. And after Thomas looks at his hands and sees those holes in his hands, the nail holes, I love this quote in John 20:28. Thomas says, Jesus, you are my Lord and my God. Finally, when Thomas saw the resurrected Jesus, he became a complete believer. You know what Thomas ended up doing? After that, his life was changed. And he took the gospel all throughout India. And you'll see churches in India today, the Church of Thomas, named after the one who brought it, the gospel, the good news of Jesus to India initially. Wow. I love that Thomas did that because I know he was totally convinced to make sacrifices like that. We got to be convinced. Well, the Bible is wonderful. That's the word God. Number 1 is tomorrow. Don't miss it. Hey, have a great day in the Lord, and I'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Bye for now.
Beautiful day. It's wonderful. This is the day that the